Hello friends, here is my reflection on the day 18 as we journey to the Sacred Heart of Jesus through the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And the first reading is from Luke, the Gospel of Luke, chapter 17 from verse 1 to 10. And the first paragraph made two impacts in my mind. The first one was a serious caution that I must never be a reason why others will stumble. Jesus made mention of the little ones whom we must never lead astray. And in my reflection, I found out that little children are not necessarily only small innocent children, even though they constitute the greater chunk of the population Jesus was talking about. We have those who are little by age, quite alright, little by faith, little in their knowledge of the Holy Eucharist or Mother Mary, little and weak based on their weaknesses and inability to resist sin, all forms of littleness. So, what is the relationship between today's reading and the knowledge of self? What is the relationship? Why are we reading this? Number one, if we don't know, or if I don't know myself and subdue it, I'll become too self-conceited. Hence, I will always work to give pleasure to my five senses, without asking whether the pleasures I'm seeking or that I want to seek is leading or will lead others, the little ones, astray. Will it lead them astray? I wouldn't mind anymore. Number two, if I'm very self-conceited, I'll never check whether my mode of dressing is seductive or not, or whether the TV channels that I watch and the songs that I listen to will lead the little ones to moral decay or not. Same applies to the jokes that I crack. But if I keep myself in check, I will always consider the gullible little ones when taking behavioral decisions. For instance, if I buy my son his first mobile phone or laptop for online studies, Google Classroom and all that, I have to put powerful pornography filters that are readily available in the app stores. If not, then I may not escape blame if the phone or laptop I bought for my son leads him to porn addiction. And there are powerful and smart filters out there that can make it very difficult for my child to stumble on pornography accidentally even. You have the FamiSafe, you have Kaspersky Safe Kids, you have Net Nanny, and so on and so forth. So many of them, good filters, and many more. So some filters are so even so smart that they can scan through a movie to detect explicit portions of the movie before anyone even watches. So Jesus wants me to avoid any action or even omission of mine that would lead others to stumble, especially the little ones, period. And the same first paragraph mandates me to forgive those who offend me, no matter the number of times they ask for forgiveness. Unforgiveness is so cancerous that it can block all the graces I could get from this 33 days exercise, consecration. In fact, unforgiveness is a burden which can make God's forgiveness not to reach me, and it can even make me sick. Yes, it is really a burden. When I was the president of the Catholic Youth Corpus in 1998, I met one young girl on camp. The camp where we were doing orientation was very far inside the bush, without any nearby major hospital or clinic. So she had this inexplicable illness that comes with crisis within her, as if she would lose her breath any moment and die. At that time anyway. On one of the nights I was meeting with Corpus, the crisis started and we didn't know if she would live to see the next day. But I managed to gain her confidence. I begged her to take her routine drugs, but things were getting worse. So I asked her if there was anyone who offended her in life whom she refused to forgive. And to my surprise, she said yes, and told me about a young man that mistakenly killed her brother when she was younger anyway. So even after the matter was settled, she refused to forgive the man and the man's family in her heart for years. And for those years that she carried that unforgiveness in her heart, she had that strange illness up to the time I met her. But could you believe that I convinced her to forgive her brother's killer completely? And she did, though with deep sorrow and tears. Behold, the next morning, she recovered from that illness, the strange sickness, and she never complained of that illness till we left the youth service. That was my closest encounter with the effect of unforgiveness and the power of forgiveness. The remaining paragraphs from the first reading simply tell me to have faith in God, no matter how small the faith could be, and that any time I do the will of God in anything, I should not praise myself. I should humbly say that I'm an unworthy servant of God who has done what he was assigned to do. Period. That's okay. I should be okay with that. God rewards. The second reading is from my Imitation of Christ, Book 3, chapter 47. And the topic is, quote, the voice of Christ. Here, Jesus tells me that as I suffer with him and for him, I should never let contradictions of life affect my peace of mind, the peace that only Jesus could give or can give. I should rather trust him and focus on his reward for good work, which must surely come. I must keep that focus, that incentive to struggle on. But all that will be possible when and if I subdue myself and imbibe the spirit of sacrifice. And only then will self remain in check, so that I can even practice what Jesus wants me to do, forgive easily, and also not lead others astray. That will be all for now. Thank you for watching, and see you on day 19. Goodbye.